Yo, what's good, everybody? Slice back with a little bit of Minecraft going on here. I have made some changes to this area I've got going on. I did them what I thought I was recording, and I was not. But it hasn't been. I haven't done too much. You know, I got a little cow farm here. I've been making smooth stone, which is twice baked cobblestone, just as a little retaining wall for the pathways. Oh yeah, the wheat field, wheat and sugarcane. That's right. That's what I'm working on now, man. My thing right now is I'm trying to get together enough books and all that for to build bookshelves, so I can get down an enchantment table that can get me some pretty solid enchantments. Let's see. I think I've got I got 11 bookshelves right now. 2 books. I got the leather. It's the sugarcane that's not coming through as quickly as I'd like it to. That's not a problem. We're gonna get there. We're not far. What do we? I think I needed 15 bookshelves to max out the enchantment table if you put it around it. I haven't figured out where exactly I'm gonna put the enchantment table yet, but I think I threw it down in this house over here. I'm not sure. Yes, I did. All right, but that's my goal for the day. Sugarcane, books, enchantment table. Let's go ahead and start off by harvesting this wheat. Alright, and then the topic I kind of wanted to get into today. Something that just slightly affected me recently. But that's beside the point. What I want to get into is relationships. You know, and I'm not talking about, you know, you guys as girlfriends in high school or middle school, what have you, something like that. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, you know, somebody you would call your partner, and you're trying to start a family, or you have a family, what have you. But I was doing some reading the other day, and I had read about how much the divorce rate has increased since the 60s and 70s. Now, in the 60s and 70s, I think the 70s specifically, there was a pretty large increase in the divorce rate. And I'm not sure what I could attribute that to. You know, later in this conversation, I'm going to tell you what I think, anyway, is the reason for relationships not working out at such a higher rate these days. But back then, the only thing I could maybe think of is maybe the telephone got popular and everybody was communicating a little bit easier, or what have you. I'm not sure. Maybe the feminist rights movements of some sort. I don't know. But anyway, let's get into it today. Today, I believe that I read almost 60% of all marriages end in divorce. From the 25 to 34 age group or so, which is, you know, the largest portion of the population usually. Anyway, so I see that, and I'm thinking to myself, why, man? Like, what is going on these days that people have no want to work on a relationship? I mean, a good relationship is work. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, you may have those outliers of people who get together and there's no arguing, everything works right, everybody's happy, blah, blah, blah. But that's very rare, extremely rare, and it's something you can't count on. So I wouldn't. So anytime you do get in one, it's going to be work. You're going to have disagreements. You're not going to see eye to eye. But the thing that makes a great couple is working through that. Now, why doesn't anyone do that anymore? Why is it so easy to just say screw it and move on somewhere else? I'll tell you why. The world is connected in a way it has never ever been before. I mean, you know, I bet you back in the day, right? You know, there's people graduate high school or whatever, and the only time they ever see or hear about people they went to high school with is if you happen to run into them 10, 20 years down the line. Whatever. You know, it's not like that now. Nowadays, you see what everyone's got going on in their lives. You feel a slight personal connection with almost anyone on any type of social media when they show off their lives. Because, I mean, you're seeing it. I'm not saying it's an intimate connection, but it's there. You feel a little something. You know what's going on. So Oh yeah, the dirt. So anyway, we're so connected, okay? You know, everyone thinks about that ex they had 5-10 years ago or whatever and wonders how they're doing. It's normal. It happens. But the thing is, now that we're all so connected, you can act on that thought. You know, it's not just a thought anymore. It is now an action. And that's what happens. And it's so much easier in this day and age to say, screw it, hit somebody else up and move on. And, you know, see, the only problem with that is, are you really ever going to be happy for sure? I mean, if you always see, or if everything you've been through, there's always greener grass on the other side. And that's what you think there is. And then when you go over there to that greener grass, it's like that for a little while, but then that grass dies. So you're like, you know what? Screw it. I'm packing it up and I'm going again. I'm out. And you go somewhere else for the same thing, for greener grass for a year or two, and then it dies. You know, when does that cycle end? When do you get tired of that and you say, I want to build something with one person. I want to fail with one person. I want to have success with one person. I want to argue with one person. I want to have good times with one person. And you know what? To be honest, that's scary. Even to me. You know, I've always been a pretty committed person when it comes to a relationship with someone. Usually. I'm not going to say always was, but usually, you know, usually I do all right. But, you know, what's the point anymore? If you can just say, nah, I'm good, and move on, why even work? Why even build that bond, that trust, that loyalty, and that respect? You wouldn't. And that's what the problem is, man. And what also seems to be a thing is that adults, and I'm not excluding myself from this. I've had my moments, but adults have become a lot more selfish than they used to be. You know, it's not, oh God, it's not just about having kids and raising good children and all that. It's, you know, of course you should be happy, but, you know, your happiness should not come at the expense of your child or your loved ones, your family, whatever, what have you. It shouldn't. And if it does, you're doing something wrong. But that's what makes it so easy nowadays, man. It's nothing to hop on Facebook and send a message to someone you haven't spoke to in 15, 20 years. And what really is the harm in it? You know, I mean, other than stepping out on a relationship, but let's say you message this person. I mean, okay, either they're interested or they're not. If they're not, you probably don't hear from them. And if they are, boom, you got what you wanted. You know, so it's really no risk in what someone thinks. That they can just do that and that's it. But that's the problem. There's no work ethic anymore, man. And it's supposed to happen in society to an extent. You know, as society gets more technologically advanced, jobs should become easier. Shouldn't be as hard on your body. But it's starting to translate into every aspect of our lives. You know, we feel like relationships should be easier because we spend so much time. You know, when you first get with someone, there's always that little honeymoon phase where you know, maybe a year, maybe two even, where you guys are just amazing. You know, you click on all cylinders, everything's good to go. But when that runs out, you know, that's when the work is supposed to begin. And instead of the work beginning, people quit and they go for that honeymoon phase again. And that's just never, you're not going to build anything with that. You're going to be stuck in that same little phase of starting to build. And then right when it happens, you say, screw it, I'm out. It's too much work. You know, and as I said, man, that is starting to translate into a lot of aspects of the American lives. I'm not going to speak on too many other places because I don't know. But I know with America, that is what we do. And unfortunately, it's logical. You know, in my opinion, you know, the logical thing to do when it comes to living life is to do the least amount of work for the most amount of benefit. And unfortunately, that's starting to translate into relationships, and it can't. You know, it just can't. That's one of those things that no matter how logical that may be, of course you want to You know, the dream is to do absolutely nothing and get paid $10 million a year to do it. You know, that's the dream. Of course it is. It's everyone's dream. You know, nobody wants to live their life according to what someone else is telling them to do. Ah! But, you know, that's something that it can't happen in. It just can't. It's not working. There's a reason why the divorce rates are so high. There's a reason why there's so many broken homes everywhere. And that's what it is. People will disagree. It's going to happen. But people have also lost the will to fix those disagreements. It's so much easier to just say screw it than it is to work on those problems. And it just can't happen, man. And honestly, it never will. It'll never work. You know, trying to do things like that will never, ever work. All right. Well, anyway, I don't know. Are you guys paying attention to what's going on in the world right now, man? With the racial tensions and... Oh, man. I saw a report. I don't know how true it is. I mean, it seemed like it at least anyway. But there was a man going around telling people policies of President Trump. And he was telling them that they were Joe Biden's policies. And everybody loved him. And then when they found out they were Trump's, they hated him. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a Trump fan because I'm still unsure about the man. I really am. Everything that I keep hearing with this QAnon and the child trafficking, that's what's given me a newfound respect for him, if that is true. You know, I hope in one sense that it's not true, as in, you know, that's pretty sick to hear about some kids. But in the same sense, you know, if that's happening, I'm so glad that there's somebody in a position of power that's doing something about it. But as I said, man, I'm unsure on the guy. You know, he's definitely made some remarks that, you know, somebody like me, I've never even made, man. And, you know, I'm a convicted felon. So, you know, telling he's going to grab a woman by her genitals or what have you, the other things he said, you know, man, that's kind of wild, dude. But, I don't know. I'm not quite sure how to feel about that. But I do know that if that stuff with the children is happening and he's actually doing something about it, I rock with him, man. He, you know, it's also a lot of the reason why he's hated, you know, is manipulated media. Now, I don't fall for the manipulated media, but I'm still unsure on the man. And that's why, you know, he's done some questionable things. You know, he's got a questionable personality at times. But I can't deny that if this thing about the child trafficking is true, everything that I've read, if even if remotely, if any of it's true, and he's the one doing something to stop this, I roll with him, man. I mean, the economy since he's been president has been pretty solid, man. I mean, unemployment is down lower than it's ever been, than it's been in a long time. You know, minority unemployment is down lower than it's been in a long time. I don't know if that's totally because of him. I can't say that. But I do know our economic structure with him as president, even with this coronavirus that's put us trillions of dollars further into debt, he's still doing his damn thing, man. And, you know, from the little bit I've seen of Joe Biden, you know, there's videos of him inappropriately interacting with children. You know, and on top of that, the man's got dementia. He's on the way out, dude. Oh shit. So I mean, and I'm also going to say this: I don't believe in popular vote. I don't. This is personal opinion, but I don't believe people's votes count for anything. But I don't know, man. I don't know which way this is going to go. You know, I know that people are being told to hate Donald Trump. I don't hate him, but I'm not going to say I like him either. You know, I know I keep repeating that, but I just want to get that out there because I'm unsure on the man. I really am. I mean, in my personal opinion, again, you don't get to billionaire status without stepping on some toes. Whether your daddy had money or not to help you get there, you don't, man. I can't think of anyone who's ever become rich by being a nice guy. Can't think of one person. So, you know, take that as you will. But, you know, I definitely don't want to see Biden or anybody related to this child trafficking thing, you know, and it seems as if the people that are being implicated in this are Trump haters as well. You know, I don't know, man. It's just so much. You get so much false information now. It's so hard to distinguish what's real and what's not. And it kills me, man, because I want, you know, ever since I had my troubles with law and incarceration. First off, let me say I wasn't raised that way. My parents were very good parents. They taught me right from wrong. They got me into sports. They did everything as parents that you should do to help your child go in the right direction. And I was going in the right direction for a while. Until, you know, and not to get into detail, but, you know, something was missing from my life, so I found it somewhere else. And that just happened to be criminal activity. I wasn't raised that way. I wasn't never supposed to be like that. And it took me, I want to say, about 4 or 5 years of being that way to realize that I hated myself, that I hated doing that type. I hated, you know, whenever I would think about it, man, I'd throw up. Man, I've done some horrible things, but I also admit that I cried, man. You know, some of the things that I've done, it makes me sick, and I wasn't raised to be that kind of person. I never really was that kind of person. You know, I was doing it to fill a void, and I was doing it to get a name on the streets, man. That's is what it is. I'll just admit it. I was a dumb kid at the time, but that's what I was doing. I don't understand anyone. You know, I never hurt a child. I'm not going to say I don't want to get too into detail, but, you know, I never did anything wrong to a child. Mostly, I never did much wrong to people who weren't in the streets in some kind of way. Yes, there were some, but most of them were in the streets in some kind of way. But even those, I have regret. I have remorse. I feel bad about it. I hate myself for it. And I would love nothing more than to erase those things from my past, but I can't. Okay. So what I have figured out that I can do is make amends. And what I mean by that, you know, there's things that I've done that I can't go and apologize to that person for, because it would be implicating myself in something. And I figured out, you know, that's not how I'm going to be able to do it. But what I figured out is if I just help anyone, man, anybody that I can get my hands on, that I can help in any kind of way, whether it be financially when I am, you know, stable, whether it be physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, whatever, man, I'm in there. And that's the only way I think I'll ever be able to forgive myself for those things. So now that I've told you that long story, what I was getting at was I cannot understand how these sick people can do those things to innocent children and go on living every day. How do you do that? And before someone tries to explain to me how they do that, I just want to say that's got to be pure evil, man. I don't know if the devil and all that stuff is real. I mean, I know what I think in my faith or whatever, but, you know, who knows? But goddamn, man, how do you do that? How can you be that sick? Like, that's beyond help, man. There's no medication for that. There's no fixing that, man. You gotta go. You need to die. You don't belong in a society. And I think that if all this stuff is true, that's why there's this giant freak out going on about who's going to be the president in this upcoming election, because that's going to determine a lot of what happens to these pedophiles. If this stuff is true, I mean, I've already seen them, man. The ones that they were accused. I mean, these QAnon reports go back years ago, and it mentions names years ago, and now the names that were mentioned are retiring from their office, their CEO offices. They are Ellen DeGeneres wants to quit her show. What? You know, there's some stuff going on, man. I don't know what's true and what's not, and that's the sad part about it. And the even worse part about it is this: you know, when they push this false narrative that, well, if it's false, excuse me, of all these people being pedophiles, you know, if they do go to court, they'll ask for a jury trial, of course, right? In a jury trial, it only takes one juror. That's it. One hung juror. Mistrial. That person's off. They get to go home. That's it, man. So think of that. Whenever you see what you see on TV, think that as long as it only takes, there's billions of people in this world, and it only takes one out of the 11 or whatever it is on that jury to get them off. That's all that they have to convince. They don't got to convince everybody now. Just one. Man, I don't know, man. If the world really is so sick like that. Oh, God. What was his name? Kinsey. The Kinsey Report. I also wanted to talk about that. It's a man named Alfred Kinsey. Back in I think it was 1948, I believe. He was paid by a certain organization. And I'll mention that organization here in a minute. But he was paid by a certain organization to conduct experiments, I guess you could call it, or of some sort, on sex, on people's, the normal, average human beings' sexual tendencies, I guess you could say. Well, his report came out that it was something like 50% of people are sexually attracted to children, and all types of nasty stuff that I don't really want to get into, man. It gets way worse than that. Way more disgusting, way worse. But anyway, so come to find out, at this time as well, the Supreme Courts were pushing for almost, I guess you would call it a one-strike penalty on pedophiles, as in you get caught one time, man, that's life. You have no possibility of parole. You're out of here, you know. And instead of that happening, thanks to the Kinsey Report, the courts gave it as an opportunity that you can be paroled for things like that. You can receive treatment, things of that nature. And come on, man. Oh, and let me also say, you know, the Rockefellers have also been implicated in the trafficking, and that's who paid for Kinsey to do his research back then. The Rockefeller organization. Just saying. I mean, like I say, man, coincidences can only happen but so much, and it's getting kind of crazy. You know, it sucks that so much of our destiny, and when I say our, I mean people like you and me, normal people, so much of our destiny is controlled by people we don't even know, by people who just have money. That's it. That's all they got. And just because they got that money gives them the right, or excuse me, the privilege to control us. It's wrong, man. You know, the day that a human life, or excuse me, that you could buy a human life with money, is the day we were all doomed. Ugh. Stupid cows. There's so many! Shut up! Moo! 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 Get big, bitch! Good God, bro. This is giving me fucking anxiety. Ah! I went out! Alright, I hope y'all are out there staying safe, man. Crazy times out there. I really appreciate you guys coming through, checking out the video. I really need your help to grow. That's all I can do is ask. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Y'all have a great day. Stay safe out there, and I'm going to see you again.